चंद्रेश भाई बोलिए।
हाँ शरद सर बोलिए, कैसे हो?
हाँ ठीक है, बोलो।
अच्छा अच्छा, आपका मतलब तबीयत कैसा है अभी?
चलो ना यार, काम का बात करो ना यार। अपने घर पे नहीं बैठे हैं,
नहीं
स्पेस
शरद
पे
सर।
है। बोलिए ना, बोलिए बोलिए।
ओके। तो अभी आज मतलब मार्केट का पूरा मतलब पीएसयू बैंक में मेरा ये व्यू है कि पीएसयू बैंक का मतलब आज मतलब उसका टॉप आउट हो गया, जो भी स्टॉक्स है मोस्ट ऑफ। इधर से मुझे पीएसयू बैंक्स में 15-20% का करेक्शन दिखता है दिसंबर में या मिड जनवरी तक।
हम्म,
ये जो बीओबी है, कैनरा बैंक है, यूको बैंक, जो भी ये मेरा व्यू है।
ठीक है,
और
और
मैं
कुछ?
ये सर ये मतलब मैं ये एक चीज नोटिस किया पिछले मतलब 15 दिन कि कोई भी 5 मेजर स्टॉक, एक्सिस बैंक, आईसीआईसीआई बैंक, एचडीएफसी बैंक, फिर ये दो कोई दूसरा एलएनटी, मतलब रिलायंस, इससे मैनेज मतलब 5-6 स्टॉक से मैनेज पूरा कर लेते हैं इंडेक्स पर। ये जो मतलब ऑप्शन का जो अभी पहले कैसा था, फ्यूचर में फ्लो आ रहा था, अभी ऑप्शन में आ रहा है। मतलब ये जो बायर है जो भी मार्केट में, उसके पास मतलब फ्यूचर लेने के लिए अभी ज्यादा पैसा भी नहीं बचा है, ऐसा मेरे को लग रहा है।
और कुछ?
नहीं सर, इतना ही।
ठीक है, थैंक यू। डॉक्टर दिनेश, अनम्यूट एंड स्पीक। डॉक्टर दिनेश। अंकित भाई, आप बोलिए।
शरद सर नमस्ते।
नमस्ते।
सर मेरा एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन था कि जैसे अभी बहुत सारी न्यूज आई पिछले कुछ महीनों में नेगेटिव, लेकिन
हम्म,
मार्केट उतना नहीं गिरा। हालांकि मुझे भी ऐसा लगता है कि मार्केट गिरेगा, वो 12,000 आएगा। बट ऐसा अभी क्या ऐसा सरप्राइज हो सकता है? क्योंकि अगर हम बैठने सोचने बैठे तो कुछ बचा ही नहीं है जो जिस न्यूज से ट्रिगर हो जाए। तो ऐसा क्या नेक्स्ट सरप्राइज न्यूज हो सकता है, या आपके एक्सपीरियंस से आपको क्या लगता है जिससे ये शुरू होगा, ये डाउन मूव?
वो तो पता चलेगा। अब बता दूंगा भाई साहब। मुझे भी आपके जितना ही नॉलेज है।
जी जी, नहीं मैं तो जस्ट कुछ आइडिया, जैसे कि कभी ऐसा
नहीं
हुआ हो तो
मतलब,
उस टाइम वैसा हो गया सर।
नहीं मैं भी तो आपके जैसा ही हूँ ना। कोई इतना अंतर्यामी नहीं हूँ सर।
जी जी, नहीं नहीं सर, थैंक यू सर।
डॉक्टर दिनेश, अनम्यूट करिएगा। क्यों लेते हो स्पीकर पे? समझ भाई, बोलो डॉक्टर दिनेश को।
Sir, I have just came out from office. तो 5-10 मिनट दीजिए सर।
अरे खाली डॉक्टर दिनेश को बोलना, कैसा बोलने का यार? तू ऑफिस से आया है, नहीं आया?
डॉक्टर दिनेश, अगर आपका माइक अनम्यूट कीजिए आप, लेफ्ट में नीचे के साइड।
शरद सर, मेरा एक मतलब क्वेश्चन था, मैं पूछ सकता हूँ?
पूछ भाई।
ये जो एफएनओ के अलावा जो भी स्टॉक्स है मतलब कैश में, जो ये एफएनओ में लिस्टेड रही है, उसमें मतलब लॉन्ग टर्म मंदी कर सकते हैं क्या? मतलब कैसे होता है, करना हो तो?
आप एसएलबीएम में बोरो करके बेच सकते हैं।
मैं समझा नहीं।
एसएलबीएम करके सेगमेंट है।
हाँ हाँ, ओके। ओके।
बोलिए और। चलिए सवाल हो गए।
नीलेश भाई।
गुड इवनिंग शरद भाई, गुड इवनिंग सबत भाई। क्या आज का टॉपिक है सर?
और टॉपिक है आज के दिन से लेना था या बेचना था?
बेचने का ही था सर।
थैंक गॉड इट्स फ्राइडे, ये है टॉपिक।
नहीं मतलब
बेचने।
आज शुक्रवार को जब बाजार बंद हुआ उसके
हाँ
बाद में आपको क्या करना चाहिए था वो बताओ।
सर, अब ब्रेथ एकदम वीक था। नया हाई बना बना के माल चिपकाया है, और जब तक ब्रेथ इम्प्रूव नहीं होता है, पर्सनली नहीं लग रहा है कि मुझे नेक्स्ट 3 वीक तक इम्प्रूव होगा। बिकॉज आज ब्रेथ काफी वीक था, और ये 2 महीने से जो रैली चलता आ रहा है वो उसका आज फर्स्ट बड़ा वाला ऐसा 200 250 पॉइंट का हम लोग ने, 250 पॉइंट का हम लोग ने एक बार देखा है। तो मेरे हिसाब से सर इट इज नॉट गुड साइन। एंड काफी माल ये भी चिपकाया है। काफी लोगों ने एग्जिट भी, स्मार्ट पीपल हैव एग्जिटेड। दैट्स व्हाट आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड। And the best part is why we should not buy. Nifty 500 has closed below 15,800. तो वो भी एक सर गंदा साइन है मेरे हिसाब से। थोड़ा संभल के रहना चाहिए। वो थम्सअप जैसा था सर, आज का रैली है ना, थम्सअप जैसा था वो। इलेक्शन के फ्लेवर में अंबुजा नया हाई मारा, और फिर नया हाई मार के तोड़ दिया। अडानी 10-15 मिनट के लिए खींच खींच के नया हाई मारा और माल चिपकाया। वो टाइप का आज का रैली मेरे को समझ में आया। और जो आधा घंटा जिसको खेल करना था खेल किया, बाकी जोर से बाजार तोड़ दिया सर। और आगे टू बी ऑनेस्ट 3 वीक तक जो पैटर्न है, हम लोग ने समझो 2 महीने का ये वन साइड तेजी देखा है ना सर, तो 3 वीक तो एटलीस्ट खराब रहेगा। दिस इज माय ऑब्जर्वेशन। बाकी तो सर आप बताइए।
चलिए सबका हो गया तो अभी मैं मेरा पुराण चालू करूं।
हाँ करो ना सर।
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का 26 लाख रुपया रेवेन्यू है।
राइट।
26 लाख या 24 है या 26 है, और 16 लाख करोड़ का बोरोइंग है। टोटल 40 लाख का एक्चुअल बजट है। अभी अपना मार्केट कैप ऑलमोस्ट 290 ट्रिलियन है, मतलब 290 लाख करोड़। तो जब गवर्नमेंट का ही बोरोइंग के साथ में एंटरप्राइज वैल्यू 40 लाख करोड़ है, तो 4 टाइम 5 टाइम, ये तो कितना टाइम हो गया। ये सस्टेन हो ही नहीं सकता है। ये फैक्ट फाइंडर कुछ बोल रहा था, वो ये अगले स्पेस में, वो आगे के स्पेस में, वो जो बोला कि भाई इस बार तो वो 2-3 हजार करोड़ ही आया म्यूचुअल फंड में, नेट में। चलिए अब आप बताओ मेरे को, 290 ट्रिलियन का अगर 1% भी माल बिकने को आता है तो अपना एक्सचेंज 20 दिन के लिए बंद हो जाएगा। बाजार में लिक्विडिटी नहीं है, बिल्कुल ही नहीं है। अडानी एंटरप्राइज वॉल्यूम होता है 10 लाख शेयर का, डिलीवरी होता है 1.5-2 लाख का। एक आपने एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं। तो with this kind of delivery volumes, how do we have an edifice of 290 trillion? On what grounds? अगर खुदा ना खास्ता LIC को बेचना पड़ा या कोई म्यूचुअल फंड में या व्हाटएवर, तो क्या हो गया? फिर एक बंदे ने फैक्ट फाइंडर से पूछा कि भाई ESIC का पैसा आएगा, जनवरी मार्च में ELSS का पैसा आएगा। वही बात हर साल होती है, वही जवाब होता है हर साल। अरे भाई आएगा आएगा, चलो आएगा, लेकिन इतना बड़ा मार्केट कैप है, वो कौन संभालेगा? मेरा चाचा तो बैठा नहीं है, वो तो ऊपर निकल गया कभी का। तो हाउ एंड व्हाई this market is at this juncture? Another thing, many of us would have noticed but did not realize the impact of the news. HCL Tech gave a profit warning. Now, my memory is very sharp as far as such companies are concerned, and I don't like HCL Tech, so I follow it up regularly. In the recent past, say recent past meaning 4-5 years, it has never given a profit warning. This is the first time. Now, if HCL Tech is going to give a warning, what about others? First is TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and HCL Tech. Then the rest of the jingle. So, what will happen? Technology is 15% of the index. So, if it gets decimated by 5%, Nifty will go down by maybe 7-8%. Similarly, banking. I have an art of observing. That's my plus point. My IQ levels are 0. Bajaj Finance, without anybody noticing, it's going down. So there goes Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv, another 4% gone. Just a moment. Now, Bajaj Finance gone. Now, best part, tech, automobile. 24th or 26th of October, Maruti came out with results. Touched a high of 9850 or 9900. Today it is 8500. I am a strong believer that one day, in 2-3 years' time, it will be 2-3,000 rupees. Because automobile share, you cannot have a P ratio of 60, 70. For automobile share, you should have a P ratio of 5, 6, 7. That's it. So, I'm not making it up. I am establishing what's there what was there earlier and what is there in the world. Why India is different? Nothing is different. First quarter GDP, 36 lakhs crores. Wow, beautiful. Second quarter, 38 lakh crore. Wow, beautiful. Fourth quarter, RBI says 4% growth. Now, why the hell we should be quoting at 32 PE? Why Nifty should quote at 32? Now, lot of people will argue, नहीं 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 19 है 20 है. अरे भाई निकालो ना ONGC NTPC वो सब निकालो पावर ग्रिड. तो अपना ये है, there is too much optimism in the markets. You can see Bank of Baroda opening at 187, going up to 198, then going down to 184 or 85, then closing at 188, 189. AB Capital 162, 154, and what not. Now, where is the bull, yaar? Explain me. Is this a bull market? It's a rubbish market where everybody wants to dump shares. So, I feel take your money out. You will have better opportunities. Now, a lot of people are bullish on banks and this and that. You tell me one thing. If you are bullish on banks, why does HDFC Bank is languishing for 3-4 years over here only? Why? Why? ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, they are semi PSU banks. What's left? Kotak Bank. As far as I remember, it's going nowhere. If you see, I don't know to see charts, but if I were to see the charts, it's doing nothing. It is a sitting duck ready to go to 400. Because if there is no growth in a bank and there is no growth in the bank, बोले subsidiary का value ना. What crap, yaar. And okay, I won't prolong much. In somewhere in 2009-10, I was very bullish, very bullish. I had loaded up stocks like 1,500, 2,000 crores. And the Nifty was 4,800 to 5,000 or max 5,100. Everybody was against me, including our late Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. बोले शरद नहीं मंदी होगा, मैं बोला नहीं तेजी होगा. So, why I'm saying this? From that level to 18,000 or 19,000 is just a pullback. We are heading too much down. You do the simple math. If our GDP is 150 lakh crore at the most, 60%, 70% should be the market cap. World over it is there. So I don't know why people are bullish, drawing various lines. इसके ऊपर खराब, इसके नहीं. मेरे लिए खराब, बस, period. That's all. चलो, fact finder, you start.
Hi, Sharji. Okay, just one thing I wanted to highlight is on on crude oil. Obviously, the correction of crude oil has been quite a bit, but I just want to add two angles to this. The general open interest in crude oil has come off significantly over the last 6 months, and surprisingly, it has continued to fall. And what this is essentially because banks are offering less amount of leverage for speculators to trade in crude oil, and as a consequence of that, the market for crude oil trading has become illiquid. Now, in that context, what has happened, I don't know how many of you are, I'm sure a lot of people are aware that there is a big problem because of this. I think a couple of days, 3, 4 days ago, Europe and US implemented the cap on Russian crude oil. Now, because of that, in there's a massive traffic jam of oil tankers in the Bosphorus Strait, right? Somewhere near Turkey, and essentially, what has happened is that Turkey has mandated that all oil tankers will now have to do their insurance checks. Now, as a consequence of this logjam of tankers, the availability of tankers has continued to fall down even further, right? And because of that, what happens is that when see crude oil, when it comes out of the fields, right, you can't just stop it, right? It continues to flow out, right? And because it continues to flow out, uh, you guys remember in 2020 March where crude, or maybe April May, where crude oil went to negative, right? Because what happens there is that since this is a real commodity, uh, it eventually happened where the man the commodity guy said, listen, just take the crude oil, I'll pay you to store it, or I'll pay you to take it. Likewise, when there is excess crude oil coming out and you can't control it, there's a limit to which you can control it, but there is no offtake happening because of the unavailability of tankers, the price can rapidly fall, right? And in an illiquid market, which I talked about, this can become a lot worse. So just keep that in mind, because the demand side is not as bad as what the crude oil price seems to indicate. So bear in mind that when you look at crude oil, spot is one thing. Focus on the futures, the say the 8 to 10 month futures, to see how that is behaving, because that tells you the long term view on crude oil. Short term crude oil can just go anywhere simply because of these issues, like who would have predicted that there would be a logjam of tankers and unavailability of tankers. Just wanted to add that bit. The second bit I wanted to talk about is, I was looking at the latest data on bank deposits, right? So bank deposits, I don't know when was the last time that bank deposits system wide actually declined by 72,000 crores. Okay. That's a very decent number, right? The banking system deposits declined 72,000 crores, while credit increased by 25,000 crores. So there is a gap of 100,000 crores. So the liquidity situation in India is just getting even tighter and tighter. I was reading somewhere that some of our smaller private sector banks are now offering as much as 9.2% on their fixed deposits. Now, these are small banks, right? But it's an indication of how desperate the situation is. And because of that, I'm sure even NBFCs are facing the same problem, right? I mean, imagine we see demand for credit continue to be strong, but no deposit growth is happening. That's a very, very bad situation. And this is happening at a point. This is the latest data was for the month of November 18th. Now, bear in mind, in the month of November, you had decent FII inflows, right? So, despite FII inflows being positive, you actually had bank deposits flowing out, which essentially means that um, you know the FDI outflows continue to remain strong. The other important thing to remember is bear in mind between July and this year and July of next year, we have $280 billion of liabilities that are coming up for refinance. Okay, these are foreign liabilities. Now, at this current price of dollar funding, it does not make sense for anybody to refinance those dollar liabilities. So, what the person will have to do is to actually domestically fund themselves, right? Which means demand for credit will remain very strong, all right? So, deposits are not growing, but demand for credit remains strong, which means deposit rates will go up a lot more. The question is, when will it start hurting net interest margins? My view is that net interest margins of the banking system will peak out. I earlier, if you asked me this in Jan and Feb, I would have thought by December of this year. But now it seems that it could be something like March or April of next year. So just I just want to share that just, and this is hurting. And since Sharadji, you talked about Bajaj Finance, there are two things that are affecting the NBFCs. The first is that this entire shortage of deposits and deposit rates being very high, but also the RBI implemented a very stringent NPA norm. Earlier, what used to happen with NBFCs were a lot more relaxed with uh, when a customer did not pay an EMI, they would give them, maybe a week or month end to pay that EMI, right? What the RBI is saying is, starting November end onwards, is that you have to, if a customer is supposed to pay an EMI today and he does not pay today, it is considered a bad, a bad asset, a partial bad asset. Obviously, a bad asset is only if a person doesn't pay for 90 days, but it gets into the buckets of weaker assets. And there is something called stage two assets, where it is quite where already delayed by about 60 to 90 days. And if a guy is delayed his EMI for 2 months, he's probably not paid two EMIs. Then in that case, he's more likely to not become an NPA, because according to RBI, uh, till he pays all those EMIs, he will not be upgraded to a normal account. So this is something that is hurting all the NBFCs, because NBFCs earlier had a lot of flexibility in the way they would allow their customers to pay their loans. Now their flexibility is zero, and this was getting implemented as of November. So I think in anticipation of this, I think it's hurting guys like Bajaj Finance, because bear in mind, Bajaj Finance during COVID, what they did was that they told a customer who had taken a certain loan that, listen, you don't have to pay your EMI, just pay only interest component, don't pay the principal component. So it became an interest only loan, and that became a flexi loan. Almost 25% of their loan book is flexi loan. So suddenly now, their leeway to do this suddenly changes. So I just want to add that. I think Ravi wanted to mention something.
No, no, but finder, you know the reason why it's going down. I don't know the reason why it's going down, because I only observe, and my trading is based on observation. Now I want your input on this profit warning by HCL Tech. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it doesn't come as a surprise to me, right? I mean, if you look at, I posted something, November has been the month. I posted something on the number of layoffs, right? And if you look at that chart, November has been a record month in terms of,
समझ उबोरे ने ये बोले से
Sorry, I think
I'm
someone
not able
can't
to
hear
hear,
me.
sir.
Okay,
Uh,
so bottom line, Sharad ji, see the thing is that if you look at the commentary, if you look at the commentary of all the tech companies, they are going into significant layoff mode, and all these companies effectively work in the digital space. If you look at the entire IT spend, a fair almost 55% or 60% of its digital spend, which comes out from marketing, budgets. If the marketing guys believe that demand is weakening, then they will cut their budgets. So this will, with a lag, impact IT companies, which probably indicates why HCLT gave a profit warning. And I'm sure every tech company is going to do. Indian IT services company will do the same. I will not be surprised. But Ravi, you wanted to say something.
या वन थिंग देयर सर, या तो आपके कनेक्शन में या फैक्ट फाइंडर के कनेक्शन से नॉइज आ रहा है.
मेरे कनेक्शन से.
Acha. Oh, yeah. So, sir, one few things, like you were talking about Bajaj Finserv, na? The thing is the stock rallied because of वो split या bonus कुछ announce किया था. So that was the reason. The stock which was pre-split bonus was something around 11,000 and it rallied to 15, 16, 17,000. And now the reality might be coming in. So one, that aspect which has happened in last 6, 7 months. Uh, Apart from that, we were discussing about the mutual fund inflow. It was about 2,200 crore net inflow in the month of November. But if we only take whatever IPO has happened in the month of November, it would be amount would be somewhere around 12,000 crore. I guess more than that, 10 to 12,000 crore. And if we include the selling which has happened from the likes of Nika, Paytm, so liquidity of about 18, 20,000 crore has been taken out, which has been distributed to other institution, mutual fund, and retail shareholders. Those things has happened. 2,200 crore doesn't serve a purpose. एक recently announcement came that Macrotech is about to garner some 3,500 crore, which itself is higher than the entire mutual fund equity inflow in November. The other thing which Fact Finder was saying, what RBI has done, couple of things. They have bring NBFC on par to the regulation of the banks. So in a simpler terms, पहले एनबीएफसी में अगर कोई ने एक इंस्टॉलमेंट नहीं दिया है, वो एक इंस्टॉलमेंट पे करता था और वो इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज अ स्टैंडर्ड एसेट इन द बुक्स ऑफ एनबीएफसी व्हाइल इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज एन जीएनपीए इन द बुक्स ऑफ बैंक्स. अब क्या है, उसको पूरे के पूरे इंस्टॉलमेंट पुराने सारे पे करने पड़ेंगे. पहले 3 में होने के बाद होता था और वो एक इंस्टॉलमेंट पे करके ही कैन बी पार्ट ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड एसेट. बट नाउ इन एनबीएफसी दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. The other thing which RBI has regulated to, mostly I heard on microfinance piece, that the RBI is saying bring the GNPA down to some 5% or 6%. That's why the lending for microfinance has been going slow recently. So that has also change happened somewhere around October, November this year. Yeah, those two pieces. सर आपने म्यूट किया अपना. Hello, Fact Finder, you can listen me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Also, we were somewhere talking about this US GSEC now. What I think is happening is the US GSEC is more reflection of the upcoming recession. We can see in 210 spread also. So what will happen is the 10-year GSEC will come down, but similarly the spread between the riskier rates in the emerging market will widen. Say in the case of India, our spread used to be some 400 to 450 bips over US GSEC for last 3, 4, 5 years, which has compressed. It has gone down to 340 and now it's about 380. I think we can't have this low spread over USGSEC if the global economy or the leaders of global economy is expected to go on a recessionary mode. So the spread will increase for the emerging markets. So we shouldn't pin our thought that If 10 years is down there, then 10 years should come down here. The other thing which I guess you were discussing in the other space, next year is the only last full scale budget before we move to election. After that, in 2024, it would be just what we call it statement of accounts, in which only the revenue and the expenses would be tallied. But it will you can't take any decisive matter in 2024 budget. That will only happen once the government is formed. So next year, this upcoming budget in February most likely need to be a populist one. So that also we can keep in mind.
Sir, can I add something
No,
from Bajaj?
no. It reminds me, today in Lok Sabha, they approved 4.5 lakh more borrowing.
सर मे बी बिकॉज अपने ना फर्टिलाइजर का बिल कुछ 1 लाख करोड़ के ज्यादा का हो गया है वॉट एवर वॉज पेंसिल ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ बजट in February. There are lots of things where the expenses have gone up through the roof. So yeah, it has happened because of that. And plus, what they want to spend, given next year would be a election year, a pre-election year.
बोलिए सर्वेंद्र भाई, बोलिए.
क्या गुड इवनिंग शरद भाई, गुड इवनिंग. नहीं ब्रॉडली जो अपना डिस्कशन चल रहा था वहाँ पे कट गया, एंड हो गया. नहीं, थॉट यही है कि देखिए आज का जो वीकली क्लोज है, मैं तो वलन टू वलन देखता हूँ. आप भी बड़े ट्रेडर है तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि आप समझोगे इस बात को कि मैं तो चार्ट वलन टू वलन देखता हूँ. तो मेरा जो वीकली चार्ट होता है वो वलन टू वलन होता है. तो मतलब मेरा चार्ट थर्सडे को ही बन जाता है. तो मेरा चार्ट कल बन गया था, तो मेरा वीकली सेटअप्स कल ही बन गए थे और आज उसका फॉलो थ्रू, उस बेरिश पैटर्न का फॉलो थ्रू वीकली में नीचे आ गया है. तो शॉर्ट टर्म में बोला था कि किसी को 20-30% एक्सपोजर से, जिनको एकदम प्योर शॉर्ट टर्म वालों को, कि भाई लॉन्ग करके देखो. बट अब मंडे को तो ये लग, अब आज के फॉलो थ्रू में जो नीचे जो आया है वो क्लियर कट लग रहा है कि भाई अब जब तक ये पीछे वाले वीक का हाई नहीं निकलेगा 18,889, तब तक अब तेजी तो है नहीं. तो राउंड फिगर 19,000 पकड़ के भी चलो. तो अब यही है कि यहाँ बेचो और प्लस उछाल में कितना बेच सकते हो, वही थॉट है. बट ब्रॉडली आज के वीकली क्लोज के बाद ये तो समझ में आ गया है, या तो जब ये हाई निकल जाएंगे तो बहुत तेजी हो जाएगी. बट वो सिनेरियो मैंने जैसे बोला, सिनेरियो तो वो खाली 10% का ही लगता है कि अब यहाँ से कोई बड़ा तेजी यहाँ से निकल पाएगा. सो देयर इज ऑलवेज फॉर दैट 10-15% ऑड कि अगर बाजार यहाँ से किसी कारण से निकल गया तो उसके लिए डेफिनेटली स्टॉप लॉस बजाने पड़ेंगे. बट ब्रॉडली 80-85% अब ये लग रहा है आज का वीकली क्लोज देखने के बाद कि भैया दिस वाज ये एक फोनी रैली थी, एक फेक रैली थी, और ये जो ब्रेकआउट था ये फेक आउट हो गया. तो इसको हम फोनी बीवे बोलते हैं, मतलब अलावा इसमें कल में लोग फंसे हैं और वॉल्यूम्स भी हाईएस्ट हो गए. तो आई थिंक फंस गए हैं थोड़ा सा लोग इसमें, और इट्स बीन अ मोर अ बुल ट्रैप. सो दिस इज मोर क्लासिकल बुल ट्रैप जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वो बन गया है. अब उसका अगले हफ्ते में कंफर्मेशन आ जाएगा, मंडे ट्यूसडे में क्लियर हो.
सर्वेंद्र भाई
जी,
वो जो स्पेस में आपने एक बात बोली है
जी,
इतना बड़ा बात बोल दिया कि आपको भी समझ में नहीं आया. वो बात आपने बोला, आपको समझ में नहीं आया कि जब 18,600 हुआ वो 5% इंटरेस्ट था.
हाँ सर,
अब
मैं
7.5 है.
जी. तो रिस्क इज एट द हाईएस्ट राइट नाउ. ये बाजार वो नहीं है जो पिछली बार 18,600 पे था. मैंने वही स्ट्रांगली वही बोला कि लास्ट टाइम हम 18,600 पे थे तो 5% का इंटरेस्ट रेट था. अब की हमें 7.5% का इंटरेस्ट रेट है. रुपया तब 75 था, आज रुपया 82 है, 82.5 है. तो दिस मार्केट इज डेफिनेटली 3 times more, 2 to 3 times more riskier than a long trade at 18,600 जो पहले किया होगा. फिर भी क्योंकि ब्रेकआउट हुआ था, फिर भी 20-25% एलोकेशन के साथ लॉन्ग ट्रेड करके भी देख लिया और 100 पॉइंट 150 पॉइंट उसमें स्टॉप लॉस भी बजा लिया. बट उससे एक क्लैरिटी आ गई कि भाई हो गया है, ये एक ट्रैप था, ये दिस वाज अ बुल ट्रैप बन गया है. इट्स ऑल क्लासिक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ बुल ट्रैप इनटू अ थिनिंग मार्केट. BSE 500 में आप जाके देखो तो फ्यूअर एंड फ्यूअर स्टॉक्स हैव पार्टिसिपेटेड ओवर द लास्ट 6 months. हर नए हाई में स्टॉक्स बहुत कम हो जा रहे हैं, पहली बात. दूसरी बात, हर बार नए स्टॉक्स आ जा रहे हैं, तो इट्स अ रोटेशन आल्सो. So this is all a classic symbol of smart money distributing and dumb money getting in. मेरा तो थॉट यही है फिलहाल.
I can ask you one question.
अरे सर आंखों पर सर, आप एक क्या 10 पूछो ना सर, हमें समझेगा तो हम बिल्कुल बताएं
कि लास्ट टाइम 18,600 हुआ और नीचे में 15,200 हुआ
जी.
Now as you and I agree कि things have worsened, interest rate, currency, ये वो सब, बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट सब, तो लगता नहीं है 12,000 हो जाएगा.
सर 12,000 तो आपका डेफिनेटली आपका ट्रेडमार्क है, कोई डाउट ही नहीं है. बट हमने तो हमेशा 1500 पॉइंट काट के खाया है सर. मैं आई ऑलवेज बिलीव कि मार्केट वन लार्जर ट्रेड इज अ पिज्जा का आप पूरा एक साथ खा नहीं सकते, आपको 4 टुकड़े या 6 टुकड़े तो मिनिमम पिज्जा के करने हैं. तो मैं डेफिनेटली अगर नीचे का भी व्यू पकड़ रहा हूँ तो मैं 1500 पॉइंट ही खाता हूँ. आज तक सर वही किया है, तो आगे भी वही करूंगा. थॉट यही है कि डाउन साइड कैन बी व्हाटएवर दे आर ओपन, बट आई विल ट्राई एंड 1200 to 1500 points shortly at a time.
No, that is very rational of you. But suppose you were to take a wild guess. मेरा तो बहुत ही एजुकेटेड गेस है 12,000. अगर आपको वाइल्ड गेस लेना है तो कहाँ तक आएगा?
सर क्यों ये सवाल बहुत तेज है. मुझे अभी मेरे पास उसका जवाब नहीं है. आज शायद कल परसों नरसों में दे पाऊं. आज अभी वैसा सोचा नहीं है वाइल्ड गेस, तो आज के लिए पास करूंगा, क्वेश्चन नहीं.
ठीक है भाई, तेरी मर्जी. हम तो भाई आपका जवाब सुनने को बहुत इंतजार में है.
आप पहले नहीं, कॉल पेंडिंग है, मैं आपको कॉल कर देता हूँ.
ऐसा क्या यार, काय को घबराता है यार, बोलना. 7,500, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 क्या लगता है, बोल लो.
सर खाली 6 महीने का पकड़ लो, 6 महीने का वर्ष, 6-8 महीने का वर्ष 15,200 था, तो वो वहां तक भी मैंने बोला 1,500 पॉइंट काट के खाना है. हर 1500 पॉइंट पे काट के ही खाना है.
यार वो थोड़ी मर्दों वाली बात कर दो ना यार. चलेगा, इधर सब मर्द ही है एक्सेप्ट एक आप पूजा, बाकी सब मर्द है. बोलिए ना.
ना सर सही है, स्टेप बाय स्टेप जाते हैं, देखते हैं इसको. मेरे पास मैंने बोला ना 1-2 दिन का टाइम दो, वाइल्ड गैस भी बता दूंगा आपको. अभी फिलहाल वाइल्ड गैस नहीं है.
ठीक है, बोलिए अभिषेक भाई. अभिषेक भाई बोलिए. इनविटेशन चाहिए क्या तेरे को? Srinivasan, how are you? Long time no see.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Yes,
evening.
sir. It's a pleasure to. Good evening. Pleasure to hear your voice and be back among friends. I've been busy with a project with a very well-known global brand, very popular in India. No, not Coke, a different category. They daily use product. तो उनका ग्लोबल टीम के साथ काम हो रहा है. Nowhere is there any sight of a growth question in these global teams. They all have accepted the world is moving into recession. They're making plans. वो टिपिकल कहाँ से प्रीमियम निकाले, अमीर कस्टमर को और थोड़ा लूटो, that kind of work. Their view on India is also like saying, हाँ, long term very good, but अभी तो things are tough. They're listed in India also. So the thing I wanted to make was, Sharad sir, that I said this maybe 35 days ago. My first prediction, public prediction has come true, which is I feel, sir, well, काफी dangerous है sir, because I might take myself seriously, which is a bad thing for a guy like my trading skills. कि ये bear market से मैं सहमत नहीं हूँ sir. So I'm going to disagree slightly that we are in a bear market. We are actually in the still in that bull market. I had called for a new all-time high, which has happened. I'm so happy, and I'm so happy I did not trade it because this is the riskiest phase of the blow-off top. And I feel we'll see another new all-time high next year, maybe in Jan itself, 20,000 type Nifty. It should be fast, it should be poor breadth, it should be spotty, and it should be without logic. So far, this all-time high has met all these criteria: poor breadth, no logic, etc., etc. Uh, the mechanical reason, what I've understood from reading some of these global analysts, is that US 10-year minus 1 year inversion is deepening. So जब तक वो deepen हो रहा है, it's now at a historic minus 1.25%. So it's a historic inversion. So mechanically stocks will keep going up. But when it uninverts, we will see, sir, आपका 12,000 तो आएगा, and that will probably be the first stop. We will see a equity market sell-off that we've not seen in the last 7-8 years, probably. So I'm and we'll have a new count because this 15,200, 16,800, ये सब 18,096, 18,300, now 18,604, all these will become irrelevant. We will start with a 20% drop and then we'll play the game from there next year. So short term, I feel we're set for 18,800 going down to 17,800. So the clean 1,000 points short that we're in the midst of this month.
अरे श्रीनिवासन, तू किधर पड़ गया है सब में? तू धंधे का बता ना यार.
Sir, economically, not much has changed since FMCG volumes not picking up. Auto had a good November, so I must compliment. I happen to now run into the guy who handles at least 7 big auto brands dealership, all of South. Sorry, minus Kerala. So the remaining South states. So his outlook, though the numbers look good, his outlook is a little dull. So I'm thinking maybe it was temporary. All other categories, there is no nobody up, and वो दिख जाता है, कोई डेटा भी नहीं उछाल रहा है कि एक दिन में इतना बिक गया, etc. So
कुछ तो बताओ भाई.
so अभी upper end market पे भी शक होने लगा है. So tech layoffs are accelerating, startup layoffs are accelerating. So India, the premium middle class, guys who are rich in India, but they call themselves middle class. They are also now not, मतलब उधर भी jobs जा रहा है. So we will possibly have a nowhere to hide kind of scenario soon.
Okay.
I'm struggling, sir, to find some good news कि कुछ तो मैं अच्छा ये कैटेगरी में तोड़फोड़ मच रहा है, एक भी नहीं है, sir.
Can I add one sector?
Sure.
So, Sharad ji, I don't know if you saw LIC's new product. LIC's introduced their term policy, the online term policy. And if you look at the entire insurance sector, right, the insurance sector has generally underperformed. If you go back a few spaces, maybe a couple of months ago, I had mentioned one of the reasons is, investors moved away from insurance stocks to buy banks, right? Keeping the financial services exposure fairly constant. So because of that, insurance stocks sold off while banks did better. Now, and there was no trigger in insurance companies. But if you look at what LIC has done, the same product that they reintroduced, they discontinued it sometime in mid-November and reintroduced it about a week later. But the premium for the same value of cover has gone up by 15 to 16%. Okay. Now think about it in terms of what will happen to other. Today, the LIC's term policy for a certain amount, if you were to compare it to private insurance companies, the difference is 68%. So if I want a certain amount of cover from LIC, for the same policy, I will be paying 68% higher for LIC versus other insurance companies, private sector. which means that other private sector insurance companies now suddenly can increase their premiums substantially. So I would expect a lot of the private insurance companies to raise their life insurance premiums for the same amount of cover by at least 15 to 20%. And the sector has underperformed a lot, and I think it becomes very interesting because I don't think mortality is going to change, but their premium collections will rise, and so with a lagged effect, their profitability will go up. By the way, Srini, just to correct you on the passenger vehicle stats, the FADA data suggests that November retail sales were high, no doubt, but it was only, I think, about 2% higher than what it was in November 2019. Okay, so if you think about in terms of volumes, it was not all that great. On a 3-year basis, there's barely been any growth.
And
Wow.
fact finder, what do you have to say about these new policies that LIC wants to launch, where the bonus will not go to the policy holder and it will go to the shareholder? Can you throw some light on that?
No. I'm not. I think you got confused on that. What I spoke about earlier, which I haven't written about as yet, is in the run up to the IPO, the government of India passed a law in Parliament during the thick of COVID, which is why nobody really discussed it because it happened sometime in May 2021. COVID was at its peak. What they did is essentially they transferred money and they did a change in the profits that is there on their products. That profit, which was supposed to go to the policy holders, 3,50,000 crores, they transferred that to the shareholder fund. So as a result, the embedded value of the shareholders went up from 50,000 crores to 4 lakh crores, pretty much because of a simple signature by the parliament. So whatever the 3,50,000 crores which was supposed to go to policyholders is now not going to go to policyholders, which is why the bonus that you get on your policies will reduce, and it has reduced,
Okay.
and this will continue
What
over
about
a period of time.
what will happen to the future policies, new ones issued?
Yeah, I mean, see, at the end of the day, see the new policies. If they introduce a non-participatory policy, the kind of bonus that you will get on those policies will be much lower. Period. Right.
Right.
But even
Big,
the
big development.
even the participatory policy guys lost in this entire game. It's a little unfair because a lot of the policies were sold based on the general assumption of a lot of people assume that LIC will give bonus, right? Even if you have a participatory or non-participatory policy, they were giving people bonus.
Mm-hmm.
That bonus pool has fallen by 3,50,000 crores because of what the government of India did. Unfortunately, nobody talks about it, but I think it is really, really unfair taking money away from the policyholders. I mean, I could use a very strong word for it, but I don't want to use it.
Interesting.
It was like the participatory earlier. It was 95% which goes to shareholder, policy holder. Now that will be 90%. In non-participatory, all future cash flow, the company can decide that entirely can go to shareholder and nothing moves to policy holders. So there was some note during the run up to the IPO, I guess from Spark or Macquarie. They have highlighted because of which the margin and everything for the LIC will go up. And just one more thing, what this has happened, they have added their embedded value, as fact finder was saying, but it is also only for the future cash flow. So they have made these changes.